Hi. Wh- So, what was the point of this? Recovery. Recovery from what? I don't know. What the fuck people recover from? Drugs? Cigarettes? Alcohol? Relationships? Work? Life? Bills? People think recovery is like all about drugs and stuff, but I think recovery has a lot more to do with um, everything, all the stuff. Mental disorders. It's all the same thing. Got certified to be a recovery coach. While I was in the certification program, I started to realize that everything they were teaching was more geared towards everybody rather than people with drug addictions, which was pretty interesting because those were things that I kind of was already working on with all the other things that I was doing at the time, mostly working on myself, trying to recover from my old life, my old way of being me, which didn't seem like it was going very well. But it seems that, or it seemed while in that program, that I wasn't really doing it for other people. I was doing it for me. I don't really care if you get off drugs or you stay at your shitty job or you're happy with your life. It doesn't bother me. I didn't really do it for anybody except for me. But I learned a lot that there are people who do think like me, but they pinpoint it towards other people. They set their intentions on fixing other people, but you can't fix other people because that's not what recovery is all about. Recovery is about fixing yourself, and when you focus your time on other people, you're just distracting yourself from the things in which you need recovery from. That's why I don't work with anybody. I haven't coached anyone. The only person I've been coaching is myself, but I've been coaching myself since last year. And I started coaching myself through writing. Writing what? Writing the thoughts in my head. A friend of mine gave me this idea to do a reflective essay on my path in life up until the point that I had been at, which was about a year ago today. It was last week, a year ago last week, when she first gave me the idea. But it was on June 3rd that I started the first of my books. This is number 12, conveniently. Well, technically it's 11 and 12. I started writing really small so I could fit more words on the pages so I didn't have to buy so many books. I was running out of money. It worked. But what 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 I learned in doing that is that writing, journaling, however you want to label it, is probably the best form of therapy and recovery that you can have, at least for me. It's the best form that I found, was writing down all my thoughts, and what that allowed me to do was purge unwanted emotions and feelings and thoughts and fears and doubts and put them onto paper. And in doing so, I released a lot of stuff that was bothering me, a lot of stuff that was going on in my life at the time, because I was in the middle of a separation. I had just started a separation. But in this time of all this writing I was doing, because I usually get about a good month worth of thoughts per book, averaging about 40 to 50,000 words each. Actually pretty cool. I have neat thoughts. But in doing so, I really got to get a full grasp of what it means when people say everything happens for a reason. So I like to go back and reread the things I was going through at certain times and reflect on them. And it's interesting to see how yesterday's adventure was teaching me the lessons for today. So what does that mean? Really? Is that if you look at it from a deeper, more abstract, we'll even call it spiritual aspect, which spirituality is whatever you want to make it out to be. I'm not a practicer of religions or anything. I have my own. If you want to even call it that. More of a philosophy. But these fears and doubts that we find in ourselves that we try to cover with drugs and alcohol and whatever other forms of addiction that we have are masks because we're not ready to see the truth about ourselves. I hope that isn't making too much noise over there. I hope not. Wouldn't be surprised. Everything happens for a reason. The asshole is... It's not really an asshole. He's using that thing to distract me, and it's working. But this too shall pass. These fears and doubts, really what they're leading us to is finding new perspectives on how to see things. When you look back on these trials that we go through in life, these challenges, if we allow ourselves to really think about them and analyze them, you'll find that really there's a point, there's a reason for all of them, because everything happens for a reason. The reason is for you to gain new insights, new perspectives on things, different ways of looking at the world around you and the situations that you have been through throughout your life that brought you to where you are today, or yesterday, whenever the hell you read this, or read it. Everything is a test, in a sense. A test to test your mettle of how you deal with overwhelming situations and complications in your life. It's, in a way, people usually, at least when they talk to me, people like to admit about how they knew something was going to happen before it happened, and they, pretty bird, that's a woodpecker, how they foresaw their future, in a sense. And in a way, they did. Because if you allow yourself to dwell on these negative thoughts and emotions, they eventually come to pass. So in a sense, maybe not exactly how you thought it was, but you knew mommy was going to yell at you for doing something bad, and then eventually mommy yells at you for doing that bad thing, but that's because you put so much time and effort into thinking about it that eventually it just happened. Because you started to play the role that you were trying to avoid being. When what I found is with writing and getting those thoughts out of your head, you stop being the person that you're afraid of being because you're putting those scary thoughts on the paper and getting them out of you. I, through my writing, eventually caught up with myself and started to see that everything that I thought I was doing, and everything that I thought everybody else was doing, they were doing as well, but it's only because those were the perceptions that I allowed myself to see. But with each new, we'll call it revelation, because that's, as soon as you write these things out of your head, you get all these emotions out of you, you start to see that once you take the emotion out of a situation, or an experience, you can look at it more objectively and start to see the finer details of it, and maybe even see the things that you may have missed the first time around because you were so emotionally involved. That, I believe, is what addiction is. We hide from having to look at these truths that we were wrong about things, and to cover them up, we mask them with drugs, alcohol, shopping, whatever. Insert your favorite addiction here. Coffee, cigarettes. And once you get the emotion out of it, once you get all that out, and you can look at it from an objective standpoint, you can see, oh, you know what? Maybe I was supposed to notice that things aren't as bad as I thought they were. They were only as bad as I thought they were because I was allowing myself to think that way, because I was so emotionally attached. So when you take the emotion out of it and you can look at it objectively, you can find that there was something to learn. And what you learn is a new perspective on whatever it was that was bothering you. And you'll find that when you incorporate these new perspectives into your way of thinking, that those things that bother you no longer bother you. For me, writing was the key to that. It allowed me to write out what I was feeling, and then even afterwards I would go back and read what I wrote once all that emotional baggage was out of me and go, wow, the hell was I thinking? What was I thinking? Wasn't thinking straight then, was I? No. But then it allows you to start thinking clearly. But unfortunately, by that point, by the time you make that realization, the damage is done. You don't know what to do. But then comes the next set of trials and challenges in your life, is how to make up for those things. And I think, in a sense, I find myself in that part of life right now, is looking back on the miscalculations I made. I don't make mistakes. I make miscalculations. That's it. Very simple. And miscalculations can be fixed over time once you figure out where you went wrong. It's like programming. Have you ever done any programming? I've done a little bit, basic stuff, very basic stuff. And like any piece of software, and your brain is the same way, your mind is the same way, and your life is the same way. You can squash the bugs out with a little bit of trial and error. And again, that was something that writing helped with a lot, because as I wrote more and more, I started to realize that my life and the world around me started to mirror things I was writing. Was I predicting the future? I don't fucking know. All I know is I was writing some shit down, and eventually things started to work out. And it's to the point now that, without having to really do anything, because I don't do much except for think and write a lot, is I actually got invited to host my first writing seminar to teach people how to write their thoughts out. So that's exciting. So what has writing done for me? Writing has allowed me to reach a point in my life where I'm about to teach people how to do the same thing I'm doing without really even having to do anything. So that's cool. Is everyone going to think like me? I hope not. I don't like everybody thinking like me, because that means that I'm just like everybody else. Yeah, but I guess in a sense everybody is like everybody else anyway. We'll just do things differently. I just think my way's better. But see, now I wouldn't be like everybody else, because I don't really need to write so much anymore. Now I just write just to keep a track of things, because what writing has also taught me to do is to do all the analyzing in my own head. So I don't really need to write stuff out anymore, because my brain just does it on its own, which is kind of cool. It's actually really fucking cool. It takes a little bit of time, but everything does. Usually a nice walk helps. I look a little nutty on walks though, because I usually talk to myself. I don't know if people take that the right way. So that's writing. I didn't go to school for it. I don't have any kind of degrees or anything to give me any kind of credibility. I don't need credibility. I don't think anybody really needs credibility. Even the certification that I got, I didn't really need it. Because I could already do everything. I already knew everything that they were teaching me. To make me super smart? I guess so. If I already knew something that somebody was going to teach me, then I guess that puts me in a cool spot. So I don't really worry too much about anything. Because I kind of already know what's going to happen. It's like everybody else. It's like everybody knows all the bad stuff that's going to happen to them. I know all the good stuff that's going to happen to me. I don't dwell on the bad stuff because I get the bad stuff out of my head. Because when you dwell on the bad stuff is when the bad stuff happens. So I don't even dwell on the good stuff. I just get it all out. The chips fall where they may. It just happens to be that good stuff just happens. A lot of cool stuff happens. That's hard to really explain though. You're gonna see that for yourself. And how do you do it? You start by writing. So you should try it sometime. See what it's like. I know it's scary. First time I did it, it was scary as fuck. I didn't know what to write. I didn't know if it was gonna sound right or look good. I was more worried about what other people were gonna think about it, which was something that my ex always said was a problem of mine. That I worried about what other people think too much. I guess he's right. I do wonder what people are gonna think when they read it, because it does get a little crazy. But I'm weird like that. I think weird shit. I'm not really too concerned because why aren't I concerned? I'm not concerned because I'm gonna write a class. I got invited to teach a class. That's fucking awesome. It's the coolest thing ever. Let's hope people go. I hope nothing bad happens beforehand. It could happen. Take a lot of risks in life, especially now. I do it for a reason. I do it for a good reason. If you read my books, you'll see. So I wrote it all down in there. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going now. Am I going? I'm gonna turn this off is what I'm gonna do because I think I'm running out of time with that thing. And maybe even really too.